Hello and welcome to this GCSE guidance video. So we're going to go through some points to help you with revision. So to start off with, some things you want in place. You want a revision timetable. Think about what you're going to revise and when you're going to revise it. Look at your exam schedule so that you know what exams are coming up so that you can do well in them. You're going to want to practice, particularly exam question practice. That will then get you the best results on the day. You're going to want peer support. You're going to need your friends around you to support you through this, and you can support them as well. That does help a lot of pupils out to do particularly well. So get your friends around, meet up at someone's house and get yourself going with some revision. You want to maintain a balance as you go through this. You want to make sure that you're eating well and sleeping correctly and taking care of yourself. Also taking some breaks and some time off so that you can actually have a balanced life as you go through this. When revising, think about your learning preference. Think about the best way that you are going to learn, what medium is the best for you, books, online. Think about carefully what's going to get you through this in the best way. Be prepared. By that, make sure you've got all the equipment and things in place so you're not making any last minute rushing sort of decisions and purchases. You're also going to want to make sure that you know the kind of things that can come up. Certain exams will focus on particular topics or particular parts of the course, so make sure you're ready for that and you know what's coming up. When revising, don't try and stick to one method. Choose a variety of methods of revising. Yes, you're going to find your best way, but you're going to want to mix it up a little bit, otherwise it will become dull. So those are some basic hints to get you started. The next slide I'm going through here is about how to revise. There's no one way of revising. There isn't really a way that you can say to someone, this is the way to revise and that's it, just get on with it. Because everyone's different and you're going to have your own preference about what you want to do and what works best for you. So some of these here are hints. They're not a complete list. There'll probably be other ways of revising that you'll find, but there are some good start points here. So reading through notes. Some of you may have purchased a revision guide, or you may have great notes from your lessons that you've taken, but you want to go through those. You want to be taking those in, and certain subjects that's going to help out a lot. I know that in history you've got to remember key dates, so that can be helpful if you're reading through your notes and revisiting those key points. Making notes, so actually rewriting out your notes. I've seen pupils do this, and I've seen that they say it helps them and that it gets them to remember things, and it is known that if you do that, it can help out. Flashcards, these are postcard sized bits of card that you write on one side, usually a load of notes, or you can write a question and then on the back of the card you can have the answers. Writing these out is helpful. It goes back to making notes, but then also using this to quickly quiz yourself can be very helpful. Some people like to draw out mind maps. These are like spider diagrams which have all the information on, and it allows people to see how things interconnect, so that can be helpful. One of my personal favorites is practice questions. Actually doing questions. That way you are in your best place possible to do an exam. So the more you've practiced the questions, the better you're going to be at answering them, and also the variety of questions that could come up. YouTube and online resources, there are plenty of things about. You can search easily enough for this information. It doesn't take a lot. GCSE and then the subject is usually enough to find somewhere that's going to have some revision resources. You just want to check that they are for your exam board, they are for the paper you're doing, so that you're not necessarily looking at something that's completely different. But these are some ways that can get you started, but you might find your own way that's not on here. But that's fine, but do find some way that works for you. The next bit is about leading up to the exam. You want to make sure you get plenty of sleep. You want to be well rested for the day of the exam. So making sure you get to bed at a sensible time so that you can get enough sleep in is important. And then making sure you set an alarm as well. You do not want your exam day to be the day that you wake up late, all right, or miss the bus. So set the alarm, have somebody else maybe even set up a backup alarm so that they're getting you up as well. Have breakfast, make sure you eat something and substantial. Make sure you've got like a decent breakfast within you, that you've got all the equipment you need, that you need for that exam. So you've got a calculator if you need it and everything else. Stay calm and be positive. You're going into an exam, yeah, it's probably going to be nerve-wracking a bit, but keep yourself calm. Okay, you've been preparing for this, you know it's coming up, and be positive. Because you've been preparing, go in thinking you are going to do well. Alright, that's always got to be in your mind. because that will help you out. Now, this bit's about in the exam. You want to relax, all right? Maybe not be too relaxed, but relax a bit. Follow the instructions that are given, both written on the sheet. There'll be a front page with loads of stuff on it, but also invigilators will be saying things. You want to be listening to what they've got to say and the key information. Read carefully. Read very carefully. A number of people get questions wrong in exams because they haven't read the full question and they've only read like little parts of it, and then they've assumed what the question is. So do read carefully. Answer the question that's being asked. It sounds silly, but a number of times pupils read questions and then answer something completely different to what's being asked. So make sure you know what you're being asked to do. So if a question starts with who, make sure you're answering who. Make sure you're actually saying who. It's a silly thing, but it's really important, and it happens more often than you think. In the exam, you're going to need to manage time. You're going to have to think about where you are in the exam, how much time you've got, how much is left. These are things you are going to have to think about, but they can be distractions as well. But time management is critical because you want to make sure that you get through everything in a comfortable amount of time. And the amount of time in the exam is the same for everybody, and it is set up so that you should be able to do the paper in that time. If you have time at the end, and I have seen pupils who can have up to like half an hour left, check answers. Check you answered every question. Check you've put working out down, that you've included enough detail. Look at the number of marks for every question. Just check through. You only have one shot at this time. You're not going to come back. So if you have that time at the end, it is important that you check everything. So finally, after the exam, take your time. After the exam, don't go rushing around, thinking you've got to see people, talk to everybody. Take your time. You've just spent over an hour probably in a very quiet environment. You could be tired, so take your time to adjust to things afterwards. Don't panic. There's a lot of reactions after an exam to panic and think it all went wrong, it's all gone badly. Sometimes if you're talking to other people, it can either help this because they would have put similar answers to you, or it could make it worse if you're thinking they've put something that I didn't and you don't know who's right. You need to think carefully about how you're managing the time afterwards. But do focus forward. Look for the next exam. Think, okay, that one's out of the way. What's coming up? What have I got to do next? You can't change the exam that's just happened, but you can have an impact on the next one. And you can look forward to the next one and think, right, I need to be ready for that now. But now is a point where we can also say, well done. You have gone through an exam, and eventually you've gone through all of them. And it's a very tiring and draining time. So well done to you. All right. All the best with it. And hopefully you'll have achieved some fantastic results.